From the muddy battlefields of France to the deserts of North Africa, British vehicles played a crucial role in World War II. In this video, we'll take a closer look at every British vehicle used during the war. From tanks and self-propelled guns to armored cars, carriers, trucks, and even motorcycles. Let's begin with tanks. Tanks. Light tank Mk6. This tank was the backbone of the British Army early on, but sadly it was completely outmatched by German armor in France in 1940. It was fast though, often operating as a reconnaissance vehicle. Light tank Mk7 Tetrarch. This little tank was fascinating. It had a unique steering mechanism, which was cool. Most famously, it was airportable, seeing action with the airborne forces during the D-Day landings. Infantry tank Mki, Matilda I. Mark I, Matilda I. Talk about basic. The Matilda Mark I was heavily armored, sure, but it was only armed with a machine gun. It was a clear example of 1930s thinking, slow and simple. Infantry tank Mk2, Matilda II. M2, Matilda II. Now, this was the queen of the desert early on. The Matilda Mark II was nearly impervious to Italian and early German anti-tank guns in North Africa. It was a real nightmare for the Axis forces. Valentine, all marks. Including Valentine Mark XI. The Valentine was a truly versatile infantry tank. It was reliable, and served in massive numbers, arguably more than any other British tank. It even became the basis for several successful self-propelled guns. Churchill, all marks. Marks including Churchill NA-75. What a sturdy machine. The Churchill was heavily armored and loved by its crews, especially for its superb cross-country performance. The Mark VII version in particular was one of the toughest Allied tanks of the war. Cruiser Mk4, A-13 Mk2, Mark II. This tank introduced the Christie suspension to British service, making it much faster. It was used extensively during the early fighting in France and North Africa, showing off that speed advantage. Cruiser Mk6 Crusader. The Crusader was the defining British tank during the height of the Desert War. It was quick and widely produced, but oh boy, it suffered from notoriously poor mechanical reliability. Cromwell, this tank represented a major step forward for British design. It was fast, reliable, and powerful. It was the first British tank to use the superb Rolls-Royce Meteor engine. A true classic. Comet. This was arguably the best British cruiser tank of the entire war. It mounted the fantastic 77mm high-velocity gun. It arrived late, but its performance was truly outstanding. Sherman Firefly, British 17 PDR conversion. British 17 PDR conversion. The Firefly was Britain's answer to the mighty German tanks like the Panther by fitting the incredibly powerful 17-pounder anti-tank gun into a Sherman. They created one of the most feared Allied vehicles. Self-propelled guns. Bishop, 25 PDR SPG on Valentine. This was an early attempt at a self-propelled artillery piece. It mounted the 25 pounder gun on a Valentine chassis, but the high mounting structure gave it very poor elevation. It was mostly phased out after North Africa. Deacon, 6 PDR SP on truck. The Deacon was a truly unique solution for the Desert War. It was essentially a 6-pounder anti-tank gun mounted high on an armored AE-00 truck chassis. It provided mobile punch against armored cars. Archer, 17 PDR SP on Valentine. Now, this was clever. The Archer mounted the immense 17-pounder gun facing backward on the Valentine chassis. This configuration allowed the vehicle to quickly shoot and scoot, protecting the crew during fire missions. Churchill Gun Carrier, 3-inch SPG. Carrier to 3 inches SPG. This vehicle was a heavy self-propelled gun designed primarily for home defense. It mounted a powerful 3 inches gun. Thankfully, only a few were built as its utility was limited once the invasion threat passed. Armored and scout cars. Daimler armored car. Regarded by many as the best Allied armored car of the war, it was fast, heavily protected, and featured a powerful 2-pounder gun. A superb reconnaissance vehicle really. Humber armored car. The Humber was the most widely produced British heavy armored car. It was reliable, very sturdy, and served on almost every front, often alongside the lighter Daimler. Humber Light Reconnaissance Car, LRC. This little armored car was designed specifically for patrol and liaison duties. It provided light protection for 2 crew members. Perfect for scouting just behind the front lines. AEC Armored Car. The AE-100 armored car looked almost like a tank, didn't it? It was based on an AE-100 Matador truck chassis, and later models even mounted a 75mm gun, giving it some serious battlefield capability. Standard Beaverette. Here is an example of desperation. The Beaverette was an emergency armored vehicle built on a standard civilian car chassis in 1940. It was intended purely for home defense during the invasion scare. Daimler Scout Car Dingo. The Dingo was an utterly essential compact-wheeled reconnaissance vehicle. It was incredibly agile, and its four-wheel steering made it almost impossible to stop in tight spots. Humber Scout Car. Essentially an enlarged version of the famous Dingo. The Humber Scout Car offered more internal space and better crew comfort, though it wasn't quite as agile as the smaller Daimler model. Morris Light Reconnaissance Car, LRC. Another important early light reconnaissance vehicle. It was characterized by its angled armor and open top, seeing wide use early in the North African and Italian campaigns. Guy Armored Car. The Guy was one of the first British armored cars produced in large numbers at the start of the war. It quickly became the basis for the more standardized and successful Humber armored car series. Lanchester 6x4 Armored Car. This armored car was actually a design relic from the 1920s. Despite its age, it saw service early in the war, particularly in the Far East, performing convoy protection and patrol duties. Carriers. Universal Carrier. The Brent Gun Carrier. This was the quintessential British tracked vehicle. Thousands were produced. They were used for everything. Transporting troops, towing guns, and carrying supplies. Truly universal. Wasp, flamethrower variant. This variant took the standard universal carrier and fitted it with a fearsome Ronson flamethrower. It was highly effective for clearing bunkers and heavily fortified positions. Lloyd Carrier. The Lloyd Carrier was often used for towing anti-tank guns such as the 6-pounder. It had a different engine layout than the universal carrier, making it a powerful and reliable tow vehicle. Windsor Carrier. The Windsor Carrier was essentially a lengthened version of the universal carrier developed in Canada. The extra length greatly improved its load carrying capacity and cross-country performance. Specialist and engineering vehicles. Churchill AVRE. AVRE stands for Armored Vehicle Royal Engineers. This combat engineer tank mounted a massive 290mm spigot mortar known affectionately as the dustpin launcher. Essential for demolition. Churchill Crocodile. The Crocodile was perhaps the most terrifying flamethrower tank of the war. It towed a large armored trailer carrying the fuel. Its psychological effect on the enemy was utterly devastating. Churchill Ark. Ark, or Armored Ramp Carrier, was a bridge-laying vehicle. It drove into gaps or over obstacles, allowing other tanks to simply drive across its body. Very specialized and crucial. Churchill Bobbin Carpet Layer. What an odd name. This vehicle unrolled a massive canvas or matting carpet in front of it. This was vital for crossing soft ground or sticky beach surfaces, especially during the D-Day landings. Churchill Fascine Carrier. This vehicle carried a huge bundle of brushwood called a fascine on its hull. This bundle was then dropped into ditches or tank traps to create a temporary crossing point. A simple, robust solution. Trucks and Softskin vehicles. Bedford QL. The Bedford Q50 series was perhaps the most recognizable British four-wheel drive truck. It was the absolute workhorse for the British Army. Used for troop transport, artillery towing, and mobile workshops. Bedford MW. This was the standard smaller 1500 weight truck. The Bedford 1000W was widely used, especially early in the war for general duties and carrying smaller loads. Simple and rugged. Bedford OY. The Bedford OY was a standard 3-ton load capacity truck. It formed the majority of the British Army supply line motor transport throughout the war. A true logistics backbone. Austin K2/Y Ambulance. The iconic British military ambulance. Known affectionately as the K2. This vehicle saved countless lives. Its distinctive appearance made it instantly recognizable on the battlefield. Austin Tilly. The Tilly was a light utility car based on a civilian saloon. They were mainly used for running messages and light duties on airfields and home stations. Very common, very useful. Ford WOT2. This Ford W2 was a common light utility vehicle. It was a very popular 1500-weight truck built in massive numbers under the War Office truck program. Ford WOT6. The Ford W6 was a reliable 3-ton capacity 6-wheel drive truck. This robust design ensured supplies could get through even over rough European terrain. Morris C8 Quad. The Quad was the famous tractor for the 25-pounder gun howitzer. Its four-wheel drive and compact shape made it perfect for towing heavy artillery pieces across challenging ground. AEC Matador. This was a truly powerful medium artillery tractor. The AE-100 Matador was essential for towing the heaviest field guns such as the 5.5 and howitzer and was incredibly reliable. Scammell Pioneer. What a recovery vehicle! The Scammell Pioneer was a massive six-wheel drive heavy recovery truck. It was indispensable for recovering bogged down or damaged tanks from the battlefield. Austin K5. The Austin K5 was a robust 3-ton four-wheel drive truck. It was widely used for general cargo duties in all theaters of the war, complementing the output of other truck manufacturers. Motorcycles. BSA M20. The BSA M20 was the most numerous British military motorcycle of the war. It was famously rugged, if a little slow, and was absolutely essential for dispatch riders and police duties. Norton 16H. This classic motorcycle served alongside the BSA. The Norton 16H was the original British workhorse bike, providing reliable service for scouting and liaison from 1937 right through to 1945. Matchless G3/L. The Matchless G350 introduced crucial telescopic front forks, a real innovation at the time. This gave it superior handling compared to the older bikes, making it very popular with its riders. Royal Enfield WD/RE Flying Flea. This tiny motorcycle was specially designed to be dropped by parachute. The Flying Flea was used extensively by airborne troops for crucial quick transport after landing. Excelsior Well Bike. The Well Bike was a tiny folding motorcycle that could fit inside a standard parachute container used primarily by special forces and paratroopers for rapid reconnaissance.